had to go to school, partly to make sure Satoko was safe, but I hadn't come up with any plans yet. Nothing since last night. So the path I took from my house was in the complete opposite direction. If I went this way, I'd pass Rena's house and the dam site. It'd be quite a detour. I calculated how long of a detour would end up being, then satisfied with the answer, I started to walk. Rena had brought me to the dam site a few times. One section of it had turned into an unlawful, oversized garbage dump, and Rena really liked going fishing for junk in there. Without that, she'd come off as a completely normal girl, too. I can think of a few other qualities she could do without, but whatever. That's a little mean, Keiji. The view quickly opened up wide, and I was hit by a strong wind. There was no shelter here at this big dam site. Maybe it was a good thing I came here, I thought. At the very least, it was more healthy to think about stuff in a place like this instead of my cramped bedroom. I took a deep breath and filled my lungs with the rich, cold air unique to Hinamizawa. I turned around reflexively. It was a bicycle bell. Considering where I was standing, I don't think they were trying to get me out of the way. They rang the bell because they wanted something from me. Hey, excuse me, you're from Hinamizawa, right? Yes, why? I've seen this person around a few times. Right, I remembered. His name, I think, was Tomitake, a freelance photographer who lived in Tokyo. He would zealously visit Hinamizawa every season to take pictures. Or so Mion and the others told me, I think. Could you tell me how to get to the Furude Shrine from here? I think I left my map at the inn. I don't know where to go. The shrine from here? I knew where everything was in my head, but explaining how to get there was difficult. I was a little irritated at having been bothered for this, but when I realized it meant my detour actually meant something, that feeling faded quickly. I'll tell you, but it's a little difficult to explain. I could bring you there if you don't mind. Really? I would be in your debt. Thanks a lot! But are you sure? Did you have something to do? Tomitake finally appeared to have realized how strange it was for a student like me to be here at this time of day. I smoothly told him not to worry about it, and then turned my back and started walking toward the Furude Shrine. Tomitake hurriedly turned his bike around and came after me. Sorry, don't worry. All guys have times like this when they have to split up from the pack and be lone wolves for a while. What a free-minded freelancer. It was easier for me, too, that he was under that impression. I'm Tomitake, a freelance photographer. I specialize in wild birds and landscapes. I'm still pretty unknown, though. It seems absurd for him to introduce himself when I was just showing him to the shrine, but he gave me his name, so I needed to give mine back. I'm Maibara. Pleased to meet you, I guess. Maibara! Pleased to meet you! He seemed like a pretty silly man, but that kind of felt kind of good, considering I'd been suffocating with worry over Satoko all night. Wow, I forgot that I needed to watch Vinland Saga. and the new Trigun. Anyway, along the way, Tomitake spoke at length to me about how precious nature in Hinamizawa was, and how it was a treasure trove of rare wild birds, despite my not having asked. I wasn't interested in what he had to say, but he seemed to be enjoying himself, so I let him do it. These steps will take you up to the shrine grounds. Thank you! You really helped me out. I think I'm a little late. As Tomitake mumbled to himself, he left his bicycle nearby and started to climb up the stairs quickly. I didn't have a watch, but as far as my internal clock could guess, it was still a little late in the morning. School wasn't very far from here. Maybe I could kill a little more time until then. With that in mind, I went up the steps in pursuit of Tomitake. When I reached the top of this long staircase, I arrived at the wide-open shrine grounds that were too grand-looking for this tiny village. Tomitake, oh, there he is. It looks like he was supposed to be meeting someone there. He got lost and ended up being late. He was bowing to a lady who must have been the person he was meeting. That lady, I knew her. Oh, I swear, in the manga, God, Takano is so creepy in Tatarigarashi in the manga. Like, so creepy. I love the shots of her. They're so creepy, they make me scared. I love it. I just love it. So anyway, let's continue. Oh, is that you, Maibara? Hello there. Are you off from school today? What? Oh, Maibara, you followed me? I wasn't really planning to. I just wanted to kill some time. Oh my, arriving at work late like an executive. How refined. You certainly are famous taking the time to look like a big shot. What was I, a celebrity? Well, she did say my name out of nowhere. Anyway, I was oddly concerned by what she meant by famous. Oh, you still can't remember my name. This is Mio Takano. She works at the village clinic. Myra, you seem healthy, so you probably haven't been to the hospital much, have you? Now that we're finally acquaintances, the next time you're sick or anything, I suppose I'll give you a little bit of special treatment. This lady named Takano, I kind of didn't remember her. Maybe we'd passed by each other on the street a few times. I was pretty sure this was the first time we'd talked. This is Hinamizawa. Even if I don't know a person's name, it's not unusual for them to know mine. I glanced at Takano and saw she had a bag and a camera. Are you photography partners? Was that why you're meeting each other? Oh, we're nothing like partners. I am but an amateur, and Jiro is gently initiating me into it. Right. That's not it at all. Takano's a quick learner. She can take pictures just fine without my guidance. I mean it. I couldn't tell which of them was ahead in the conversation. Well, there's certainly one couple, if you wouldn't get tired of watching. The festival's finally coming up the day after tomorrow. I hope we can... Oops, that's Tomitake. Let's try again. The festival's finally coming up a day after tomorrow. I hope I can take some good pictures this year. Oh, wait. Oops. Who's talking? I'm confused. Okay. Shit. I hate it when I feel confused. Ugh. Frick. That's sometimes the problem with me when I'm trying to read. I get a little confused about who's talking. Sorry. I just remember there was some village festival called Watanagashi or something the day after tomorrow on Sunday. They hold a service with a pile of... Oh, okay, yeah. So, it's okay, so. Oh my, you're correct. You have quite extensive knowledge despite just having moved here. Yes, it is a festival, to give thanks to Oyashiro. Takano smiled somewhat meaningfully, but didn't tell me what part of a festival to think Oyashiro needed to be laughed at. Cryptic as ever, Takano. But I do wonder what will happen this year. You know what they say, if it happens twice, it'll happen a third time. And it's already happened 4 times. I think there's less evidence that it won't happen a 5th time, don't you think? I knew what they meant by their whispered exchange. Okay, yes, we know that. We don't need to repeat that anymore. I always come here and pray and donate money whenever I visit. It won't be me for sure. Oh, is that so? They say Oyashiro has been especially harsh on outsiders recently, you know. Maibara may have only just moved in, but he's a proper member of Hinamizawa. But you, Jiro, are just a stranger who only comes once a year. I wonder, will he let you go this year? That's harsh! Tomitake was the only one with a pained grin, but we were all smiling, me included. Oyashiro, the one who used to curse people involved with the dam construction project one after the next. Okay, yes. As I thought about it, I realized a lot of them had to do with the Hojo family. They lived in Hinamizawa. Does that mean that they specifically targeted the Hojo? Have you heard the news Satoko's uncle has returned? Takano, who had been enjoying a few words with Tomitake, was caught unawares by my sudden inquiry. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? Satoko's parents were killed by the curse, and her aunt too. So I was wondering if you went in order, her uncle would be next. Her aunt had a miserable death from the curse last year, and her uncle let his fear take over and fled into town, right? Oyashiro doesn't allow people to try and abandon the village, does he? I hadn't intended to be quite this persistent, but those words, they just flowed out of my mouth without me thinking about it. Right, Oyashiro's curse. I didn't believe in something so unrealistic, of course, but the fact that every year unfortunate accidents and incidents happen to be enemies of the village, like Takano said just now, it had happened 4 times. No one could say there wouldn't be a 5th. That's an interesting suggestion. It's true if you look at those sacrifices in the previous years. Those named Hojo come up quite frequently, given how long it's gone on for. Her uncle being the one to die or disappear this year isn't out of the question. Not again, Takano. Don't laugh about it. It could really happen. I'm sorry, but Oyashiro's curse is my life's work. Takano gave off a mysterious, somehow intellectual impression. Her life's work has mysterious in its own right. She probably like inexplicable supernatural phenomena or something. Takano, you seem like you know a lot about Oyashiro. Give me your honest thoughts. Given that he's a Hojo and that he's returned, what are the chances the uncle will follow the curse? My, what? You seem like you really want this uncle of hers dead. That's not... I wonder. It all depends on the whims of God. Maibara, do you know the true identity of Santa Claus? I got a strange question all of a sudden. I couldn't immediately answer. What? You don't know? It's your daddy. The daddy's in everyone's family. What? That's what you meant? Well, of course, everything ultimately comes down to humans in the end. After all, humans are the only ones living in the world. All strange things could be explainable in terms of human actions. I felt like I put that somewhat strangely, but Takano was not as dissatisfied with that reply as I might have guessed. Oh, it's impressive that you caught on to that at such a young age. You're right. Strange things that happen in the world of man are all caused by man for his own benefit. Maibara, I'll ask you again then. This time, not Santa Claus, but Oyashiro. Do you know anything about who Oyashiro is? Takano took a step toward me and gazed into my eyes as she asked. Santa Claus was really the parents of every family's children. If lionizing that legend was a corporate tactic to try and profit during Christmas sales, then what was Oyashiro really? Do you know Oyashiro? I'm sorry, I had to. Oh, didn't you already say? There are only humans in this world. Everything can be explained by human actions, right? Maibara, keep this to yourself, okay? This string of freak death incidents attributed to Oyashiro's curse, Takano's view is that they might be premeditated homicides performed by people of Hinamizawa based on some kind of ceremony. No, don't misunderstand me. My life's work is to research teachings, thoughts, and cultures from the viewpoints of folklorism. I don't really care at all about who the culprit really is. Just keep that in mind, please. I could tell at least she was saying some crazy stuff. If I were to liken her statements to a meal, it would sort of be like she tried to stuff a whole plate of duck into my mouth, and now I couldn't say anything. To understand in the first place, you have to go all the way back to ancient times, when Hinamizawa was called Oniyafuchi, or the Demon's Abyss. The transcendents who lived there believed themselves to carry the blood of demons, and so were only half human. Takano, having entered her own field, leaned forward and began to speak of ridiculous matters. Tomitaki realized she was roaring me, what? And interrupted me. Takano, you can't just chatter on about that stuff to Maibara. Look, he's really confused. Oh my, are you? If you want to hear more, ask me any time. I have heaps of the grotesque stories that boys your age seem to love hearing. Thank you. If I feel like it, I will. For now, I softly and safely gave away my refusal. Takano seemed a little unhappy that Tomitaki had rained on her parade, but she stopped talking about it then. Even so, it was a very interesting story. Okay, we know that. Well, I mean, if you thought about it logically, it would have to be people wouldn't be dying because of a curse. Someone's obviously killing people and making it look like one. Indeed. As for who that is, it might be safer not to try and find out. You seem like you know, Takano. You may not have proof, but it seems like you really believe it. Oh my. Why do you think that? I just kind of felt it vaguely. It didn't seem like her extreme passion for this research could be explained by just these things being taboo or being safe and easy. This person loved walking through the profound, forbidden abyss of risks and taboos. Let's leave it at that, Myra. I just helped you escape, and now you're trying to talk about Oyashiro again. I wanted to take a nice walk while it was still cool. Tomitake seemed a little disappointed not to be able to go on the date he had planned since I had brought up a weird topic. But right now, there was something I wanted to ask, just for a little bit, and that was about whether Satoko's uncle would be chosen for the curse this year. If he was, then another miracle would happen just like last year. A terrible incident would happen again, but it released Satoko from her unfortunate circumstances once more. Well, I do have a few suspicions as to the kind of people who would probably become involved, of course. It's a natural, inevitable conclusion for anyone who's researched the history of Onifuchi Village. Who do you mean? What would I do if I knew? I asked that question to the other me deep inside, but got no reply. How enthusiastic. What would you do if you knew? Nothing, really. If you found out, you might get into danger yourself, you know. Maybe the 5th year's curse would be you. Takano, toying with the taboo, gave me a devilish satisfied smile, as though nothing in the world could be more amusing. She was probably trying to tease me, but I didn't feel like going along with her little game one bit. You like to talk pretty big, but you don't really know yourself, do you, Takano? I had a tinge of irritation at Takano's roundabout way of speaking, but those emotions escaped my mouth like water flowing through a strainer. Even though I was surprised at how directly I had spoken about how I felt. Of course, I wasn't the only one taken aback. Oh my, you're something. You may be just a boy, but you can still provoke people. How unexpectedly rugged. I don't dislike people like that, you know. Takano's tongue poked out of her mouth, and I was convinced it was a long, thin, and split in the middle like a snake's. All right, I'll tell you then. But you have to promise me 3 things first. 1, not to regret it, no matter what I tell you. 2, not to tell it to anyone. 3, not to tell anyone I told you. I gulped firmly and nodded. Tomitake made an exaggerated expression of distress, giving a dry, vague smile and lit a cigarette. Please tell me. Who's putting this curse on people? Who is it? Who's deciding who gets cursed? After I said that, I finally realized why I wanted to know. Oh boy. Oh my god, Takano's so creepy. I love her so much. Oops. I know she's very controversial. I can't help it, okay? I don't expect anybody to, like, whatever. It's fine. We don't have to agree. Anyway, many of my classmates were playing freely in the schoolyard. A few of them had just run out of school after putting on their shoes and tapping their toes to the ground. It looked like they finished eating lunch. From a time-manipulating standpoint, I guess I succeeded. Oh, Maibara, are you okay? A few of the girls noticed me and came running over. It's only natural they were worried. You'd think if someone wasn't there in the morning, they'd be out of rest for the day. Well, I'm just late for school. Don't worry about it. Anyway, what about Satoko? Did she come today? The girls exchanged glances. I saw a thin shadow fall over their faces and knew the answer without needing to hear them reply. Satoko was absent today, too. When all is said and done, after being out here for 3 days, she'd only come back for 1. And now she was out again. Who knew if she'd really come tomorrow? Yeah, but the teacher said she got a phone call from Satoko. She said she had a cold. Chie said that everyone would really make sure to rinse their mouths out really well. Wait a minute, Chie, that's a little too thick-headed, don't you think? You're a teacher, aren't you? Why can't you be more sensitive and catch on to the fact that your pupil is sending out an SOS? But even if she did, there's nothing we could hope for. The most she could do was a home visitation. She didn't have any right to take Satoko from her uncle into safety. No matter the result, it would just end up like the other public agencies with a wait-and-see attitude. It just pissed Satoko's uncle off, and her suffering would only grow deeper. Then wasn't saying she had a cold the best option? She's right. Be careful not to catch a cold, got it? You can go now. There's still plenty of time in lunch break. The girls excitedly scattered into the schoolyard. Oh, Keiichi! Rena was yelling out of the classroom window, waving her hand. A moment later, Mio and Rika poked their heads out, too. Okay.
We were very worried that even you would be absent today. Thank goodness! You don't seem sick. You look pretty okay.
I felt a little uncomfortable with her saying that I didn't look sick, but I didn't care that much. What happened? Overslept? Well, late is late. I think if I said late because of the train accident, she let it slide. You overslept. Mio was being a bit persistent. Was she going to put on her club president cap and scold me for being late? Well, maybe she didn't have it in for me, so I briefly stated that she was right.
There's still more bento! Everybody eat up! Without Keiichi here, we wouldn't have any fun!
Satoko is still absent, huh? Even Reina, fearing cheerfulness, couldn't stand to hear that, and her face darkened. She called this morning. Apparently, she said that her cold came back and she was staying home again, too. She said it might be gone for a while, too.
She must be sad, so we're all talking about going to visit.
What are you saying, Rika? Not pleased with Rika wearing a wide smile as though it was a happy occasion, I threw cold water on her. We know best of all that she doesn't have a cold, don't we? Don't ever tell a fib like that again, even as a joke. I'll get mad next time. Rika furrowed her brow, looking down, and mumbled an apology.
It's not just you, Keiichi. It's hard for everyone.
I know I'm not the only one worrying, but none of us can do anything either, can we?
That's true, but...
I got the feeling I'd cause another fight if this exchange went on, so I apologized first. Sorry. I'm sorry. So forget what I just said. It's hard for everyone, right? It must be. It was at least clear, however, that I was the only one who'd worried so much about rescuing her. At the very least, everyone probably got a normal amount of sleep last night. Probably had good dreams, too. They definitely hadn't stayed up all night thinking so desperately. I know it might be what you want to hear right after you get to school, but you were late today, Kei-chan. Did it have anything to do with Satoko being absent? Huh? Mia, what are you talking about? Sometimes you act kind of foolhardy, Kei-chan. When both of you and her were absent this morning, we seriously thought you might have kidnapped her and hidden her somewhere. Easy for you to say. If I could have, I would have done that last night. None of them really thought of how difficult that clear-as-day solution was. I was up thinking all night, thinking until the night was brightening, and then I concluded that I couldn't do anything of the sort. Don't be dumb. I couldn't hide someone. You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize if I upset you. Don't worry about it. Anyway, let's just eat some food. I'm starving! I took my bento box out of my bag. Everyone moved to make a spot for me to sit. Maibara! Did you just get here? And just as I was about to stick my chopsticks in, Chie came along. Yeah. Sorry for being late. I overslept. What the heck? Even the teacher was giving me that strange look. When you're finished eating, could you and the president come to the teacher's lounge? There's something I want to talk about. Probably about Satoko, I thought. Sensei left it at that and went out to the hallway. Eating lunch can wait. Let's go, Mion. You're right. Mion and I exchanged looks, nodded to each other, and got up.
It's probably about Satoko.
No doubt about it. They were saying she had a cold, but everyone in the class knew the truth. I didn't think that had reached the teacher's ears by now.
I kept playing dumb, so I think she gave up asking me.
Revealing the truth to the teacher would only worsen the situation. Was that why she hadn't said anything? Or was it because she was Satoko's friend and she knew she was trying to endure a trial of her uncle's abuse in order to get her brother to come home? What should we do? Maybe we should use this chance to get a collective opinion. What do you want to do, Rika?
Me.
Satoko's closest and best friend was Rika. However much I pretended to be her Nini, it didn't come to get close to the amount of time they'd spent together, so I felt like her opinion should be held in the highest regard. I know why Satoko's enduring her uncle's torture. Everyone looked startled and turned to me. Back then, whenever Satoko was abused, She probably cried and hid behind her brother, but Satoko thinks that in the end, that's why her brother ran away.
Who did you hear that from?
The coach, I bet. I nodded quietly. Satoko believes her brother will come back if she can withstand the abuse. Maybe that's why she's trying to push through things. But that assumption has nothing to do with Satoshi coming back. It hurts to say that about Satoko, but it's the truth. Everyone hung their heads. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Satoko probably won't be happy no matter who helps her. She wants to withstand everything with her own strength, but is it really right to respect that? I don't think it is. Even if Satoko hates us for a while, I think there'll come a time when we need to save her against her will. And I think that time might be now. I told them all about what I saw, how I felt when I went to Satoko's house yesterday.
Keiichi, so you think we should tell someone?
Of course, only after we're sure about reporting it to the public agency will guarantee her safety. Without being sure of that, it just gets more dangerous for her instead. It's a difficult problem. You think we can get a definite promise out of the teacher? I had no confidence, but we had to try. Meanwhile, Rika had her hand raised for a while, as if asking for an opportunity to speak.
I will leave it to Keiichi.
What? Is that okay, Rika?
Keiichi is thinking about Satoko more than anybody else here. If Keiichi thinks that we need to tell someone, then I have no complaints.
Thanks. Mion, Rena, are you okay with that? Mion seems to hesitate, not knowing if she should agree. But when she saw Rena's firm nod, she made up her mind and did the same. Okay, let's go, Mion. Right. Oh no. Only Chie was in the teacher's lounge. We didn't see the principal anywhere. The schedule on the blackboard on the principal's name said training, going straight home. Our principal's sense of justice was too strong. Satoko's problems wouldn't be solved with something so vague. Maybe it was a stroke of luck he wasn't here. When the teacher saw Mion and I come in, she closed up her curry bento, saving the rest for later. Sit over there, please. She told us to take a seat in the chairs directly in front of the principal's seat. I hadn't sat in this chair since doing the paperwork for transferring in. The two of us sat there uncomfortably, before the teacher walked over carrying a notebook and a ballpoint pen and sat in front of us. Marbara, you were absent this morning. Did something happen? I'm sorry. I overslept. Really? I have no reason to lie. She narrowed her eyes at me in suspicion. Now I was sure of it. She wanted to talk about Satoko. In any case, I think you two already know, but your friend Hojo has been away frequently lately. Neither Mio and I had anything to say in response, but the teacher proceeded, not minding. Would you happen to know anything? There's some people in class spreading bad rumors. Mio looked down and remained silent, as though she was being lectured. She sent a quick glance. Everyone had made up their minds. They'd be leaving things to me. Mion, or maybe you, Maibara. I won't get mad or anything, okay? If you know something, I just want you to tell me. Sensei, can we ask you a question first? She might not have anticipated that response. She looked surprised. I don't know what rumors are going on around about Satoko in class, but if those rumors happen to be true, what would you do, Sensei? Well, what would I do? If it's true that she's being abused by her uncle, I can't leave it alone. Can't leave what alone exactly? What would you do? Sensei's eyebrows shot up. Maybe I said it like I was trying to pick a fight. Maibara, I'm being serious here. So am I. I'm also being completely serious right now. Please answer me. If it were true, what wouldn't you leave alone? Sensei took a few breaths and began to speak slowly. First, I'd have to visit Hojo's house to confirm the situation. Her uncle might get mad and drive you away, though. Well, okay. Let's say you did make up with Satoko and her uncle. Then what? Then I'd ask whether it was true. Once I got the facts, I'd go from there. Please stop talking so vaguely. What exactly would you do? Even despite my tone being so provocative, Chie bit back her emotions and listened calmly. I thought then she was a very good teacher. She really did have her students' best interests at heart. But she didn't have the power or the authority to save Satoko. If she let her sense of justice run away with her, the situation could get more complex. Sensei folded her arms, and for a few moments she closed her eyes as though mentally concentrating. When they opened again, there was a strictness in her eyes I'd never seen before. There's a law called the Child Welfare Law. It clearly states that abuse against children will not be allowed no matter who it is. So would it seem. Then what? I contact the prefecture's Child Consolation Center. You said just now I would be turned away, didn't you? Child welfare officers can bring the police with them if the situation demands. They will not submit to intimidation. How many days would it take for you after contacting the social worker and submitting the paperwork for her to be saved? It'd be the same day. Their job is to guarantee the immediate safety of children. I know that. That's if they decide there's an urgent need. If they didn't, then they'd do the same as you. They'd go from there and they'd just wait and see, right? They'd just watch. It'd make Sadako's uncle's mood sour, and Sadako would be stuck with him there. Kei-chan, that's going a little too far. I'm not lying, am I? Last year or the year before, whatever. That's exactly what happened when the child welfare people came, isn't it? And what happened then? You and Sensei would know about a lot better than I would. I had said too much. I didn't need Mio to tell me that. I was talking crazy and itching for a fight. I was supposed to be telling her about the situation only after I was sure we could save Satoko, but I basically told her everything right from the start. Chie looked at the clock, stood up, picked up the phone at the principal's seat. Hello? Put me through to extension 3455, please. Is this okay, Kei-chan? Is this really okay? It was too late. The dice had been cast. Now we could only pray. Oh, thank you for answering my call. I'm Chie, a licensed teacher at the Hinamizawa Branch School. Would Director Watanabe happen to be at the guidance office? Yes, that's right. Something urgent came up, so I'd like to contact the principal as soon as I can. Yes, thank you. Please tell him immediately. Yes, thank you. The teacher put down the phone and tilted her head back and took a breath like I always did. I'll ask the two of you again. Are the rumors going around class really true? Yes. Yesterday I went to Satoko's house. I saw for myself how bad it really is. You can leave the rest to me. I'll definitely do something for Satoko. Something? Please stop saying such ambiguous things. Not something. We have to save her. If they end up deciding to wait to see again, how do you plan on taking responsibility? While I was yelling, the phone rang. Chie snatched the receiver up first. Hello? Oh, I apologize for interrupting your training. Yes, actually it's about the issue with Hojo Satoko. Yes. Sensei waved us away, telling us we could leave now. Mio went to leave, but I held my ground. I had a responsibility to make sure she stopped saying such vague, ambiguous things. If it didn't look like she was going to say anything substantial, I'd tell them the truth, even if I had to steal the phone from her. Yes. No, I haven't contacted them yet. Yes. I haven't confirmed it, but it seems pretty bad from what the children are saying. It's not just pretty bad. Do something about it. Right now. If you're going to report it, then I don't care who you tell. But I swear if they end up just watching and waiting, I'll never forgive you. I yelled angrily at Sensei and the principal on the other end. I wanted to somehow, some way, convey to them just how dangerous her situation was right now. I understand that. I will tell them as much. Mio, please take my bar back to the classroom. Yes, ma'am. Let's go, Kei-chan. We should leave this to the teachers now. You better promise. Until the very last moment, I glared at Sensei. Chie was being pressured by the likes of me. Idiot. This isn't the time to feel pressured. Now's the time when you give me a firm nod that'll set my mind at ease. Even so, we've already left things in her hands. At this point, we can't do anything but pray. Mio shut the door to the teacher's lounge. Sheesh, Keiichi. I understand his feelings. I do. I probably kind of feel like him in the sense of rashness. Okay, I need to take a short break. I'll be right back. It's really troublesome. So, like I said, I'll be like right back. I actually need to take a quick little mini break before I continue. I'm back. Alright. Let's continue. Let's save and load. First we'll save. Then we're going to view the tips. And, hold on. I really need a snack break. Okay, so statistics from the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Oh, article. Article first, okay? Article 2. Definition of child abuse. The term child abuse means the following acts committed by a custodian, meaning a person who exercises parental authority, a guardian of a minor, or other person who is currently engaged with the custody of a child. Hereinafter, the name shall apply. Against a child, a meaning a person who is under 18 years of age, hereinafter the same shall apply. Assault a child in a manner that will cause his or her likely to cause external injuries on the body of a child. Engage in indecency against a child or cause the child to engage in indecency. Substantially reduce the amount of food for the child or abandon and neglect the child for a long period of time in a manner that may interfere with normal development of the child mentally or physically, or otherwise materially fail to perform the duty of custodian, or speak or behave in a manner that would be significantly traumatic to the child. Article 3. Prohibition of child abuse. No person shall abuse a child. Law number Act of number 82 of 2000. Authored by the Minister of Health and Welfare. On the statistics. Year 19. Principal abusers in case reported to the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Total 5,352. Mother by blood. 2,943. 55.0%. Mother not by blood. 203. 3.8%. Father by blood. 1,445, 27%. Father not by blood, 488, 9.1%. Year 19. Instances by type of abuse in cases reported to the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Total 5,352. Physical abuse, 2,780, 51.9. Neglect, abandonment of child, 1,728, 32.3. Psychological abuse, 458, 8.6%. Forbidden from going to school, 75, 1.4%. 311, 5.8. I'm gonna have to make sure we put a warning over that. Why do you think Ryuki should put that there next to Satoko? Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, Teppei is like a creep, and there's certain things I'm not gonna read on whenever it comes to like being on the stream. I won't. That's against my policy. So let me think. And let's see. What do I want to say? Because there's something I do want to say. Because, hold on. Okay. I feel like I want to say something, but I don't remember. I'll have to put a warning. That's for sure, because that's pretty serious. The die of fate had been cast. Reporting to a public agency, which we kept being warned could instead result in something far worse for Satoko if we didn't have evidence first. And just like that. Had I failed and had I let my emotions get the better of me in that moment? Maybe I should have stayed silent and left everything to Mion since she had been relatively calm. I remember the punishment game where we had a bad mouth curry, and somehow me saying anything would make it worse. Satoko told us to leave and talking to her. Maybe it was the same thing here. I was impulsive. Maybe I should have just shut up and at the floor, but it was too late to laminate it. The die I'd thrown wouldn't be coming back into my hands. All we could do was pray for something good to happen.
Keiichi, you did everything you could, so leave it to the teachers now, okay?
Everything I could? If I really gave it everything I had, if I really had struggled, I would have dragged Satoko out of her house last night and hidden her in some abandoned house. I didn't, so it means I didn't do everything I could.
Stop thinking about it, alright? You're being a little too persistent, Keiichi. At this rate, you'll collapse.
Just leave me alone. I left her with those words and stared lazily up at the ceiling. I wonder if I really got Chie to understand. Would the public agency intervene and solve everything within the day? Would they acknowledge the abuse and guarantee her safety? After lunch break, our afternoon classes were mostly self-study. I remember what I wanted to say. Because, okay, the handling of how Teppei was in Higurashi Go and Sotsu, like, it, for those who know, you know, wasn't good. Like, that was weird. I don't know why they went into that direction. I'm going to be very vague, so I don't provide spoilers. But it's like, I wouldn't trust somebody who would think things about kids like that. To just... That's no. That's a no. I don't know why they did that. And like the people who are like drawing fan art of him being all nice and whatever, it's just like, this guy just, you can't just 180 like that when you think of kids like that. Okay? Alright. Alright. So, yeah. Just, yeah. I hope that wasn't too spoily. It's just, I have some serious thoughts when it comes to that, but let's just lay that clear. So, let's continue. After lunch break, our afternoon classes were mostly self-study. The teacher came back to the classroom occasionally, but then the phone in the lounge would ring and she'd have a long conversation with the caller. Everyone in class got a weird feeling they knew what those phone calls were about. Sensei came trotting from the classroom. I'm really sorry for all the phone calls recently. Let's call it a day. President, please lead the class. Everybody stand up! It looked like to me Sensei had been wearing a dark expression ever since lunch break. It wasn't a very relieving expression. It wouldn't be, even if Sensei 100% understood the situation and passionately explained it to the other person. At the end, the Child Consolation Center, as a public agency, would be the ones that decided where to get her to safety. Sensei understood that as well as us, and that's why she looked so unreliable right now. Kei-chan, let's go home. I don't think anyone feels like having a club today.
Mi-chan, it's no fun if someone's not here.
Rena was right. It was no fun for us if someone was missing. If the teacher's expression had shown more promise, then maybe we could have gone home more comfortably. But I couldn't let myself feel relieved. I couldn't be naive and tell myself all I can do is pray now that the dice have been cast. Just in case they didn't get her to safety and decide to wait and see again, I need to take further measures. We asked people who could do something official already, and there was one more place that was worth asking for help. She might laugh it off, or I might be right. I could be endangering my own life, but I'd try. Oh, Mion, is it okay if I stop by your place today? You got a lot of manga, right? I want to borrow a bunch of them. Huh? Sure, I guess. There was an ominous meaning behind my words, so Mion realized what I meant right away. I wanted to talk about something alone. That's what I meant.
Mi-chan, Keiichi, let's go home!
Rena had already taken her shoes on and was waving from us in the schoolyard. Mion's house was gigantic in every way imaginable. The house itself was a vaguely old-fashioned traditional Japanese house, but the yard, I guess, was their plow of land, was enormous. It easily convinced me that they were really major landowners with Hinamizawa under their thumb. Mion brought me through the guest room and had a servant bring us some tea. Wow, you really are rich, huh? You even got housekeepers? Grandma and I are the only ones who live here. I wouldn't be able to do everything myself. The servant left, telling us it was 5 o'clock, then withdrew with soft footsteps. We have people who come in and take care of Grandma and clean 2 or 3 times a week. They come in rotations of 3 or 4, so there's someone here almost every day. Only until evening, though. Oh, and if we're having a party or something where we need more help, we call up different people. If you had money to hire all these people, then just take Satoko in. I glared at her as I thought that, and Mio seemed to catch on immediately. Oh, sorry. It's fine. I know it's not a money problem. Just to be clear, my family may be rich, but it's not money that I can freely use for myself, okay? I don't want you to misunderstand that. It kind of looked like I was bullying her. Mio had been apologizing to me a lot lately. Was Mio the sort of person who would do that this much? Maybe it's just that I've been looking so grim lately. As in, Mio is very mature, even if she seems immature. So, what's up? You had something you want to talk about, right? I have something pretty serious to discuss, Mion. This will be sudden and you might be surprised, but I want you to hear me out. Huh? What? Oh, I'll give you a way out first. Even if what I say is true, you don't need to admit it. You're allowed to play dumb, but I want you to listen until the end. I have something to say to the next leader of what's still the most important of the 3 families of Onikafuchi Village, Sonozaki Mion. At first, Mion looked like she had no idea what I was saying, but hearing the whole sentence and putting it together, she reacted. Where did you hear that? It doesn't really matter. I definitely couldn't tell her who told me. Takano, you told me not to, but please forgive me. This is why I asked you about it after all. I was surprised that you heard of Onikafuchi Village, Kei-chan, but you seem to know a lot of things, both true and false. About me too. Hahaha. Remember Watanagashi? Yeah, true and false. I really might just have had the wrong impression here, but I'm okay with that, so listen. And if it really is true... I don't know what you're getting at, Kei-chan, but let me just say this beforehand. You've got a big misunderstanding, so if it were possible, I wouldn't want to hear what you're about to say, because even if you said it, I can't do anything to help you. Still, if talking about it will lighten your burden even a little, I'll listen. I'm only just going to listen. Nothing more will happen. Are you okay with that? Yeah. Mion seemed to know the kind of thing I'd be talking about. She warned me doing so would be fruitless. That much was obvious. If what I was going to say was true, then the Sonozaki family would be the masterminds behind the string of freak deaths that had been occurring every year in Hinamizawa. You know that stuff about Oyashiro's curse, right? Mio nodded a little. No one knows what it is or why it happens, even if each incident is involved. The string of deaths and accidents as a whole is still a mystery. But there's one thing connecting them all, and that's how the targets are always the enemies of the village. Seems like it. Mion spoke as if it didn't relate to her. See? Here's your clue to Watanagashi. That was fine. She didn't have to admit it. For now, I just wanted her to stay quiet and listen to me. The day after tomorrow, it's Watanagashi, isn't it? Has the sacrifice for this year's curse been decided already? Mion didn't answer. Her expression remained the same, too. Like she said, she was just quietly listening. Sorry. The promise that you just listened, so it's weird for me to ask a question, huh? Mion gave me a look she'd never given me before. A faraway look. A sympathetic one. She didn't nod. She just smiled faintly and listened to me. If this year's curse isn't going to be on Satoko's uncle, then please change it to him. I mean, last year was her aunt, right? It's in the right order, so it wouldn't be weird. You're right. It seems like there's an order. I mean, after her aunt died to the curse last year, he abandoned Satoko and fled to town for a whole year. Why wouldn't a guy like that definitely be on Oyashiro's list? There shouldn't be any issue with him choosing him for this year. I see. If he were to die from the curse this year, no one would see anything unusual about it. I heard that Oyashiro's curse is, well, no matter how I looked at it, I wasn't sure whether I should continue. No matter how I tried, the words wouldn't come out. The string of freak deaths in Hinamizawa, also called Oyashiro's curse. You're saying they're incidents perpetrated by the village, carried out by the three families at Sonozaki's instructions. Is that it? I wasn't... I don't care one bit whether you have anything to do with it. I'm just saying, if you have any way of communicating with whoever decides the targets of the curse, then I just want you to tell them to choose Sadako's uncle. Please! Everything you've been saying has been terrible. If freak death incidents in Hinamizawa were carried out by the will of the Sonozaki family, that would mean the main culprit would be me, wouldn't it? I would have chosen the target of the curse, given the instructions, killed many people, and gotten rid of others. You're calling me a murderer, Kei-chan. What is this stark contrast between Mion and the Mion over there? Interesting. I didn't say that! Didn't you listen to me? I don't care whether you're the one behind the murders or not. I just don't! Even if you're the culprit, it doesn't change the fact that you're my friend. It doesn't matter at all. If the police were chasing you, I'd come to help. I'd make you an alibi and even help you escape, because we're friends and comrades, aren't we? Mion looked surprised for a while. She was dumbfounded. Now you're just declaring yourself complicit? Kei-chan, that's pretty bold of you. Come on, don't interrupt! Sadako's uncle, choose him for... Stop right there, Kei-chan. I want to start dinner soon, so I'd like to leave things at this. Mion! And I realized my cheeks were wet with tears. They slid down my chin and fell, drip-drop to the tatami mat. It's like I said at the start. You've got a big misunderstanding. Oyashiro's curse is just that. Even if there were people behind these incidents, they wouldn't have anything to do with the Sonozaki family or me either. Right. I understand that. It's just... It was touching to hear such a desperate plea, Kei-chan. But that's all it was. Even if I wanted to help, I can't. You understand that too, right? Yeah. But now I know how you feel so well it hurts. If I really were, like you said, the one controlling the three families and choosing the sacrifices every year, I'd probably grant your wish. Mion! But the reality is different. I'm just Sonozaki Mion. My family may be the subject of all sorts of bad rumors about controlling Hinamizawa from the shadows, but we have nothing to do with the freak death accidents. We may have been a little extreme during the dam war, but that's all. We would never do something so insane as to kill people. Don't say such sad things. Right now, at least, I don't care. Why can't you just be nice and lie to me? Kei-chan, you're free to believe what you like. If I lied to you now, you'd be convinced Satoko would be free the night after tomorrow. You'd be able to shed much of your burden. However, reality is harsh. Sadako's uncle will survive beyond that day. He'll still be alive next week and the week after that. You need to prepare yourself for that. I don't want you coming to me the day after Watanagashi and demanding to know why he wasn't killed. Mion stood up slowly, closing the sliding door to keep the wind that had grown chilly. Was it Mio? Did she give you all those ideas? She really likes to misunderstand things in Hinamizawa. Well, we can let her have her fun, but I don't really want her influencing you, Kei-chan. Jeez, this is why outsiders are no good. Takano has nothing to do with it. Right. Don't worry. Even though I know she told you about it, Kei-chan, nothing's going to happen. It's not like Mio will be chosen for this year's curse. Besides, we don't even know for sure if the curse will happen this year. Maybe it's all just a pile of unfortunate coincidences. Thanks for listening. If you aren't connected to the serial deaths at all, then that must have been an uncomfortable conversation. I'll apologize for it. I see. You'll apologize for it. Mion said she didn't have much time, but she still brought me to the gate. She said she had a meeting or something today about Sunday's Watanagashi festival, so there'd be a lot of people from the town council and the festival committee coming. Despite her day being so busy, she still listened to what I had to say. If there's a God in heaven, then he probably understands how strongly you feel. Yeah. I'm really sorry for being so weird today. You can pretend like this discussion never happened if you want. Okay, I'll forget about it. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. I really only spent a short time with Mion. Talking to her made me think. It was clear what Takano had told me at least wasn't a complete fabrication. If Mion was really, really unconnected to the incidents, she probably wouldn't have listened to me so quietly. She heard me out until I was done without making any quips. I wanted to think that was proof. I did kind of feel like I was grasping at straws. Of course, thinking back on it, it was a terrible thing to discuss. I mean, I went to my friend's house, called her a serial murderer, and told her to kill Satoko's uncle. I was the only one talking that whole time. Mion quietly listened to everything I had to say like a pastor listening to a confession. She could have gotten angry part through, told me off and go wash my face in miso soup and come back later. But she didn't. Was that proof that Mion's family, the Sonozaki, were the masterminds? Or was she just listening because she felt sorry for me going kind of crazy? I didn't know which it was, but it was the one effort I could make at the moment. It was another form of insurance. Should worse come to worse, the public agency decided to wait and see. It was a completely useless resistance, literally grasping at straws. As I said, if she reported it to the Child Consolation Center, they'd have to respond the same day. Could they already be in the middle of responding to it now? If Satoko came to school tomorrow morning all energetic, then everything would just be a needless fear. Why couldn't tomorrow come faster? That night was unusually hot and humid. I couldn't get to sleep. I said all that to Sensei. They couldn't possibly decide to wait and see again this year. Satoko, what is it like for her tonight? Has she tasted the end of her nightmare, enjoying a night of liberation? I actually put my hands together and prayed into my futon.
Good morning, Keiji!
Morning.
Thank goodness! I thought you overslept today too! Your mom said you'd gone on ahead yesterday and you weren't at school. I was worried that you'd gotten heat stroke halfway there.
Yeah. I'm very sorry for all the worry I caused you yesterday. Hey! Good morning!
Mi-chan, good morning! Wow, you really stink of liquor! You'll get found out for sure!
Oh, right. Wasn't there a big business meeting with all the people in the town council yesterday? They only called it that. It was more like a party. We have the festival every year, right? We wouldn't have any annoying meetings at this point.
Are you going to help out with the festival this afternoon then?
Yep. I have to do a meet and greet with all sorts of people in Grandma's place. Besides, they already started setting up for the festival. Our morning conversation was lighthearted as usual. It looked like Mion had thankfully forgotten about how I barged into her house yesterday with that crazy talk. The more I think back on it, I felt like I said something really terrible to her. I was really thoughtless. It wouldn't have been weird if she yelled at me. It was highly possible Takano had exaggerated her story to think that our comrade and friend Mion, the young leader of the Sonozakis, one of the three families effectively controlling Hinamizawa, was pulling the string behind the serial death incidents. It was a little unbelievable. But if there was even 1% chance that it was true, then what I said yesterday to Mion might have been a success. Yes, it was no more than 1 in 100. But that little bit of effort might have really brought the chances of saving Satoko up, even by a tiny bit. At least I made that effort. After yesterday ended, I was sure I'd done everything I possibly could. If there was something else I could do, it was probably just to clap my hands and pray that Satoko's uncle would be killed by the curse. I hope Satoko makes it today. Me too. Sensei's doing things for her, right? I'm sure I'll be fine. My aunt is a welfare agent in Hinamizawa District. I gave her a call last night.
Huh? I didn't know your aunt was a welfare officer. What happened? Did you tell her about Satoko?
Yep. She called the Child Consolation Center right after we talked to her. A child welfare officer apparently visited before the night was over. My aunt said they were going to pay visits at regular intervals from now on. Enough with the dumb little stuff. I want to know what happened to Satoko. Did they get her safe? My aunt wasn't that informed about it. I was supposed to keep this a secret anyway. Her telling me was a big breach of ethics in the first place. Damn, that makes me feel even worse.
Let's go to school.
Right. Discussing this more would just make us feel worse. It was far quicker to go to school and see if Satoko was safe or not. The three of us nodded and ran off. Was Satoko safe? What measures had the Child Consolation Center taken? I didn't care what. As long as we could go back to our peaceful life with Satoko today, it didn't matter to me. At the shoe racks at the entrance, Rena took a peek in Satoko's shoe cubby.
Satoko's shoes are here! They're here!
Kei-chan, Satoko came! Thank goodness! We don't know if anything happened just because she came to school. We can't know anything until we see her face. We tried toward the classroom. The classroom was lively as it usually was in the morning. Satoko! Where are you?
Me, she's right here. It's too early in the morning to be so loud. Would you please keep it down a bit? Satoko, are you okay?
All of her friends crowded around Satoko excitedly. A probation officer came, right? How did it go?
Who was it that called them? I swear, it was quite a mess, you know.
It was the teacher. You were absent for so long, of course she was worried. Satoko said, I told you I'm fine, under her breath. She was still trying to overcome all the suffering on her own.
It was a big bother for both me and my uncle. That person just barged in on us suddenly. Jeez. Everyone was worried about you, Satoko. Don't say it was a bother. Ha, jeez. Anyway,
what? Oh, wait. No, oops. Jeez. Anyway, what happened?
Nothing happened. Ha, ha, ha. My cold got better, so I came back to school, that's all. I can't take too much time off from now on, because then you'll all worry about me. Ha, ha, ha.
What was Satoko saying? What happened to, well, your uncle?
Oh, he admitted there were some misunderstandings, and we both apologized.
Rika grabbed at the back of my collar and pulled me away. What is it, Rika? Rika silently dragged me all the way back to the hallway. Rika, what did that mean?
Satoko said nothing was happening and chased them away.
That idiot! But why? No. Somewhere in my mind, I thought it might turn out like this. Satoko didn't ask for anyone's help. She didn't hide behind anyone. She was trying to ride out this pain. She wanted to show Satoshi proof that he came back to them. She wouldn't need to hide behind him anymore. But Coach said the probation officer can bring her to safety in an emergency even if it's against her wishes. However much Satoko denies the abuse, it's a fact! Chie finally came. Her expression was far from cheerful. Yes, you're right, Maibara. If the child welfare officer determines it's an emergency, they have the right to immediately take them to safety, regardless of the affected party's intent. Then why? Why is Satoko intent being respected so much? It's weird! Why don't they put her into safety? Well, after the person in charge of the Child Consolation Center looked into it from many angles, they determined... What the hell is that? Sensei, did you say it was going to be alright, so you definitely save her? What's the meaning of this? This doesn't make any sense! Answer me, damn it!
Keiichi, this is actually the third time someone has reported Satoko's child abuse. It happened twice in the past, too.
Furude! Sensei tried to stop her, but Rika went on speaking anyway. Twice before. I heard to decide to wait and see after reporting in the winter before last, but it happened then before, too?
Satoko's father who died wasn't her real father.
What? Rika, that's... what? I'm stunned at the sudden revelation. I had no idea what Rika wanted to tell me, but it seemed really important, so I couldn't get a word in either.
Satoko's mother remarried. She brought Satoko and Satoshi with her, so they weren't related by blood to their father.
Satoshi was a good kid, one who listened politely to what adults told him. He was immediately welcomed by the new father and was loved. But Satoko was different. She was rebellious. She told lies and she played pranks. Her stepfather didn't like her at all. What? So, what do you mean?
Even before she was given to their uncle and his wife, Satoko didn't have a very good relationship with her family.
Of course, her stepfather didn't have any malicious intent at the start. At first, he must have worked hard to get his new daughter to accept him. But the young Satoko didn't make any effort at all toward the end. She was distant toward her stepfather, and never opened up her heart to him even a little. She just got on his nerves all the time and seemingly forced lies and pranks. Her father's discipline and punishment must have been loving at first, but of course, that too faded quickly. I don't know because I wasn't in Hinamizawa at the time, but I learned this on the phone yesterday. What sort of story did you hear, Sensei? Oops, that was Chie. That Satoko wanted to trick her parents, especially her stepfather, so she inflicted wounds on herself so she could make up a false story about abuse, and that she sent out an SOS herself. She made up a story about hurting herself?
Satoko made a fake phone call to try and get rid of her father she hated.
Child welfare officers rushed there and heard the story. Her father genuinely apologized for a few times that he had gone too far and agreed to let the child welfare center give him coaching. Related agencies looked into it quite a bit. They determined that Satoko and her stepfather's hearts not being quite matched up was the cause of the incident, but they found another problem above that with Satoko. A problem with Satoko? What was it? Satoko's mother. There's been a few times where she lived with de facto husbands, though those relationships didn't result in remarriage. From a young age, Satoko had been forced to call at least 2 or 3 people her father. At some point, Satoko's pranks escalated. She'd spill food on purpose, turn over her plate and even throw it. She'd break the windows in the neighborhood and shoplift candy. She'd put thumbtacks everywhere and set other traps to seriously hurt people. Not in the way she did now, just to get laughs. She was also fond of telling lies that'd be found out right away, and people got mad at her every time, but she never ever changed her behavior. Please don't think Satoko was a problem child. Satoko was young. It was an act of self-defense. She had to take against unknown men her mother had chosen. In regards to Satoko's problematic behavior, child psychology experts from the public institutions indicated her actions were to draw her mother's attention to herself. They acknowledged that she had a form of harmful emotional trauma and declared that she needed counseling and therapy from professionals. They didn't know whether that therapy had healed the wounds in her heart. Satoko purposely hurt herself and told them she was being abused by her stepfather in an attempt to chase them out. But in the end, her stepfather did abuse her, right? No. All the abuse had been made up by Satoko. Her stepfather, of course, may have scolded her in a somewhat emotional way, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. Satoko had lied to chase away her stepfather, and they saw through her right away and found out that Satoko had issues. Oh, could it be that's why the winter before last they decided to wait and see?
Yes. The Child Consolation Center had all their past records, so they needed to act carefully in case Satoko was lying.
What the hell? So what? Satoko might be telling a lie, so they need to be careful. So how does that mean they just end up waiting and seeing? It was the girl who cried wolf. That fable about telling a lie once, making others unwilling to believe you later. That's bullshit! The past has nothing to do with this, does it? It only just matters what's happening right now that's important. Satoko's being abused by her uncle. Why is something that happened in the past getting in the way of helping her now? Neither Sensei nor Rika had anything to say to that. Anyway, yesterday a probation officer visited to carefully determine what was going on. And Satoko dealt with them, put on the best, strongest smile she could manage, and denied the abuse. Of course, she was probably being threatened to keep quiet about it by her uncle. Satoko was trying to outlast everything without asking for help. Satoko wanted to wait for Satoshi and come back home. She outright denied the truth of the abuse. What an idiot. What? You're not really enduring it. Do you really think pretending like this will actually bring Satoshi back? Just stop it already. Satoshi, he abandoned you. The fact that he hasn't showed up to save you now is proof, isn't it? So just stop it. Please. Stop being weird and pretending to endure it. Forget everything we just said. Understand? If you tell anyone else, your teacher will be very mad with you. Jay gave me a warning and left to go back to the teacher's lounge.
Keiichi, please don't think Satoko is a pathetic, pitiful girl. She's living life.
I know that! She's our irreplaceable friend!
Satoko is still trying her best. Let's watch over her a little longer. The person from the Child Consolation Center said they'd visit periodically from now on. If something terrible happens, they'll help her right away.
Yeah, but only after it happens. Any more than that, I would have sounded like I was picking a fight. So I firmly swallowed my next words and went back to the classroom. Mio and Rena were talking to Sadako like they always did. It was a silly conversation, a humorous and even fun one like it was any old day. If Sadako really said she could still endure it, maybe I should do as Rika said and watch over her. Maybe whatever I help will offer will just go unwanted.
Okay, why don't we all have lunch? Me. It's been a while since all 5 of us. Really, has how it has to be.
Oh, messing up already. Here, come on, you too, Kei-chan. Bring your desk over. Sadako brought her own desk over as well, grinning broadly. Even knowing nothing had been resolved, this exchange was pleasant and made me remember how fun it used to be.
I can't have Rika making a bento for me forever. I don't mind. I have fun making your bento.
Rika's such a good girl. Having such a good friend must be so reassuring. I put in the big steak and Sadako puts in the burnt stuff. Wait.
I put in the big steak and Sadako puts in the burnt stuff. So it was just Sadako would be so sad. So very sad. Nippon.
I take it back. Well, she's Rika after all.
Hey, come on, look! I've got omelet rice today! Mushrooms and stuff are delicious! Delicious! I say it every time, but your craftsmanship is splendid! You can become a wife whenever and not have a problem! A wife? A wife? Eating a wife?
Using the word wife is totally forbidden around Rena. Please don't say it again. I'll think about what I have done. A little. By the way, what's in your lunch, Mion? It looks different again today. We're all waiting in anticipation. It's a rich assortment of side dishes left over from what my uncle brought last night. The stew looks really great, huh? The color of the radishes, too. Really good, right?
Wow, it looks delicious.
Stew tastes best when it's left overnight. This looks like it could be really good. And so there'll be none left for Sadako. I'll eat it all and tell you what I think, so just be quiet and watch.
What was that? Hand over my portion, too!
Elbow punch, Hellbutt. I use my knees, too.
At close range of this, my advantage is unwavering. Keiichi, the daikon in the portion tastes really good.
Damn it, coming right for me for the start and using a combo attack. How humiliating. This little exchange. How long had it been? It looks like they ended up going with wait and see approach, but maybe her uncle had realized he'd gone a little too far and would dial it back down now. If her treatment improved a little, would that be a good thing? Sadako was grinning wider than I'd ever seen as she chomped down on her mouthful of the daikon she plundered from me. Did it really taste that good? Sadako was somewhat cute like that, and just as I had done many times, I grabbed her head and started petting it. Huh? Sadako slapped it. Oh. Sadako? It was so sudden. For that moment, I didn't know what happened. The back of my hand was stinging. I went to pet Sadako's head and then she hit my hand? What's wrong, Sadako? Sadako was scratching at her head as though a pimple or something had appeared on it and become itchy. It was so sudden and so unprovoked that I didn't understand what happened. What's wrong, Sadako? At some point, her body had been covered in a thin layer of sweat. Her breathing had turned ragged, and when I pet her head, did she not like it? Was that what it meant? Hey, did you dislike being petted? Once again, I slowly held out my palm of my hand and brought it close to Sadako's head. The instant the palm of my hand touched her head, there was a shock like static electricity, and Sadako began to howl. I'm sorry, I can't. She grabbed my arm in both hands, as if she was flinging off a snake trying to cling to her. As if trying to throw away something dirty, she threw it violently. It happened too suddenly for me to react. I hit the desk behind me, and both it and I fell to the floor. The classroom fell deathly silent. As Sadako bellowed, it sounded like she was in the throes of death, as she unsteadily backed away. Then she threw up the food she'd just eaten. she vomited it all back up. The sound of Sadako's vomiting hitting the floor rang throughout the classroom. Are you okay, Sadako? You seem sick. I can't right now. I reached out a hand and she swatted it away with all her might. With such extreme strength, I fell onto the floor again. Sadako put both of her hands on her head as though protecting it and groaned some more and took a few steps back, and then she began swinging both hands around. Students in the nearby seats were forced to evacuate. She grabbed anything within reach, bento boxes, chairs, threw them, tossed them, and flung them about. Wait, stop it, Sadako! What's wrong with you? She screamed out as Mion's words had caused her physical pain. No one spoke a word to her. All the students were withdrawing behind us, leaving Sadako alone in the corner of the classroom. Around her, there were desks and chairs all over the floor, bento leaves scattered. It was terrible. All I could hear was Sadako's ragged breaths and the voices of the cicadas. I'm sorry. The strings of tension loosened around Sadako. And maybe she suddenly grew scared of her own actions because she started trembling and gave a word of apology. But nobody knew who that apology was directed toward, so for now I decided to answer as everyone's representative. No, it's fine. Are you alright? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I no. Our words didn't match each other at all. Sadako hugged her shoulders and back she went. She ran into the locker with cleaning supplies in it. She even made her give a yelp. The impact caused the bucket atop the locker to fall and make a loud sound, and that scared Sadako most of all. She almost jumped out of her skin, grabbing a bunch of the curtain in her hands. Nobody spoke to her. They could only look, not even remembering to blink. Sadako, what on earth? I stood up and I took a step away from everyone and approached Sadako. What happened? I said I don't know! I don't know! You're wrong! Please stop! Please forgive me! Just calm down! Sadako, do you know who I am? Oh no. Every time I took a step forward, she grasped the curtains more tightly and cried out, Sadako, it's me! It's Keiichi! Don't you recognize me? I would never, ever hurt you! Come on, calm down, it's alright, I'm your friend! Suddenly, my shoulders were grabbed and I was dragged backwards. It was Rena. Sorry, Keiichi. You need to get a little farther back. After pulling me back, she ran towards Sadako in my place. It's okay, Sadako. There's nothing to be scared of. Please, don't worry. I really can't read it. Not right now. As she gripped the curtains and kept calling for Nini, she continued to wail about being forgiven for something and to be saved from something. What is this? Mio gnashed her teeth and groaned, and there were tears falling from her firmly closed eyes. What the hell? What is this? Didn't this all come to an end yesterday? Weren't we supposed to go back to our old lives? Mion! There was a crazy sound. Rena had taken the cleaning supply locker and kicked it to the ground. Everyone stood up surprised at Rena's unexpected act of brutality. After that, Rena embraced the bawling Satoko from behind and started crying with her stifled. Rena, what's wrong? Sorry, Keiichi. Be quiet for a minute. What is it now? What happened? What did Satoko tell you? What did you hear? Shut the hell up! I told you to shut your mouth, asshole! Rena's raw, hostile emotion hit me like a brick. It was no more than a momentary howl of emotion for Rena, but that was more than that for me. She'd shown me what was behind all that emotion. What was in her heart. Satoko! Forgive us! We couldn't do anything for you! Forgive us! I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Forgive us for being unable to do anything. Rena's words made me feel as though The blood vessels in the back of my head were all suddenly turning to ash. My vision grew distant, blurred away with gray. The world lost its color. I thought we could save Satoko, but though I knew it to be sooner the better, I thought there was no time limit for doing that. I never dreamed that we would be too late. I'd been making a huge mistake. I thought Satoko could be hurt, but never that she'd break. It was such a huge mistake. People, they break. Thinking that they don't is absolutely absurd. We need to save Satoko. We need to save her before she broke. That fatal lapse in awareness brought this on. Whose fault was it? That went without saying. Mine. No, ours. We all took on the duty of saving Satoko, but we were all negligent to the point of laziness. In that sense, this was the inevitable result. Even if this didn't happen today and it happened tomorrow or a day after or next week, we'd still sit around doing nothing until that day. So this was the obvious result. I slumped down to my knees, just as Mio and Rika had done, and I too closed my eyes tight. I couldn't stop myself from sobbing. What's all this noise about? Wait, what happened? The teacher came, her face screwed up at the terrible spectacle before her. The instant she realized the teacher was here, Satoko went through another complete change. She wiped her face with the curtains and, like nothing happened, smiled. Hojo? What on earth is going on here?
I just got into a little squabble with Rena, that's all. We went a little crazy over our lunches, right?
Rena didn't nod in reply, but then Satoko wished it. She nodded without strength. The rest of the class couldn't keep up with her extreme changes. We all just stared in a daze.
It was just a little horseplay. I just scared everyone out of their wits.
Satoko would probably sweep the whole thing under the rug. For what? Her heart's being torn to pieces. So what? What else? You wanted your Nini to help you, didn't you? But unfortunately for you, Satoshi doesn't ever intend on coming back. It's never that easy. He won't conveniently show up and save you, so you don't have to wait for him anymore. You can cry, beg for help, and you can run away. We can't do anything, Mio suddenly said. She spoke then. Those few words had tormented me countless times. Those words were a spell, and when I heard them, my whole body suddenly regained its calm. My emotions all slipped away like they'd never been there, like a wave departing. And then the world's color flipped inside out. My field of vision expanded. My head grew remarkably cold, and I felt like my mind's volume had grown even wider than the classroom we were in. At the time, my soul was doubtlessly no longer in the small petty vessel of my head, but floating in the air a little bit above it. It was a mysterious feeling of release. I broke free of the cramped confines of my skull and stretched out my roots in all directions as far as I wanted to. It was a strange feeling and one I'd never felt before, an odd sense of exhilaration. My sharpened senses caused me to transcend. My mind was sharper than a knife's edge. I immediately decided that spending the time to let myself be crushed with grief would be an absolute waste. I erased all the garbage information from my brain and expelled the pointless emotions presenting obstacles to action. Mion, you can curse it all you want. Curse our powerlessness as much as you want. Huh? If I could take back all that happened about crying about it, I'd cry all day. The fact was, this is how things turned out. I couldn't take back what had happened. The top priority was then to prevent the situation from worsening further and to sever the chains of misfortune. Up to the day I've been looking at things so narrow-mindedly, I could scarce believe it. To save Satoko, the only thing to do was to save Satoko. That's the only thing I thought about. I didn't allow myself to realize the most basic, direct, and uncertain way of removing the source of Satoko's unhappiness. No, actually, I realized it yesterday. But as for the means, I rely on some stupid curse from some dumb deity I'd never considered carrying out the task myself. I would obliterate Satoko's uncle. There are plenty of ways to do it. This is a task that held infinite methods. Ironically, the method of saving Satoko required mostly money, but the method of killing that man pretty much took no money at all. I could kill him with the least amount of investment, the least amount of money due to him. It was the only weight of his life. I kept eliminating needless, worthless information from my head, replenishing it only with the knowledge I needed to achieve my goal. I used every cell in my brain to think about how I'd kill him. The way I killed him didn't matter. I could allow any method from whatever time, whatever country, as long as it ended in a quick and certain death. If I were to have an additional condition, it'd be not to get caught. Removing him is an act designed to return the peaceful times we had with Satoko. If I was arrested in exchange for the removal, we might as well have killed each other. With only him gone, we'd go back to our normal lives. That was my supreme objective, my ultimate goal. Kill him, definitely. But definitely don't leave evidence either. Two alternatives at odds one another. The condition of not leaving a trace back to me automatically narrowed the number of murder methods. No witnesses was an absolute must. Fortunately, given the time in Hinamizawa, there'd be no one around. I mentally reconstructed the land around Satoko's house. The number of pedestrians different at different times. The movement algorithm of the neighbors. I'd lure him out or charge at him. What would my weapon be? When and where would I carry this out? Where? It needed to be somewhere I wouldn't leave a trace. When it needed to be soon as possible for Satoko's safety without wasting even a millisecond. This is absurd. Completely absurd. When I thought about it this way, it struck me how easy the act of killing was. If I could leave evidence, if I was just going to kill him, anyone could easily turn into a murderer, but our reason prevented that. It told us doing so would get us arrested for sure. In the end, being arrested by the police was the final thing preventing people from committing homicide. Absurd! If you went all the way out to the very middle of the ocean, you wouldn't leave any traces at all. Anyone would drop those they hated into the depths if they knew that. It was all too easy to simply remove him. I could leave class right now, drop a metal baseball bat or something from the schoolyard and go to his house and attack him. Estimated time would be about 25 minutes. If I wanted us to kill each other, it wouldn't even be minutes. I could do it in 1,500 seconds. I knew just how much his continued existence depended on me. He was nothing. I could expel from this world within just 1,500 seconds after making up my mind. I decided to do something. He only had 1,500 seconds. Actually, if I ran at full speed to his house, the number would actually even go down further. But he was alive. He was still a part of this world this very moment, having torn Satoko's body and mind to shreds. Why? Because I was letting him live. I was permitting him to live so he was alive. If I rescinded that permission, he'd be evacuating this moral coil within 1,500 seconds. You think I'd let you live to breathe even 1,500 seconds more air? I'm taking that permission back. Right here, right now. You better thank me for letting you live until today. Actually, however, I need more than 1,500 seconds. I'm not just gonna end you. Getting back our old days is far more important. It's only you I'd be clearing out of this world. They won't find a culprit. I'll forget that I dirtied my hands on the likes of you as naturally as I brush my teeth before bed. So to do that, I'll make a special exception for you and give you more than 1,500 seconds. I'll give you special permission to keep on living as you have until I construct the perfect plan for your murder. Wait, Keiichi. Can't let the time go to waste. Yeah, I know. I'll kill him quickly. I'll remove him with certainty. I won't misuse any of the time to think of a plan. Think back. Tomorrow was Watanagashi, isn't it? Last year on the night of Watanagashi, her aunt died. Her head was busted open by some deviant. Her brain splattered everywhere. That's it. He's someone who deserves to be given the death on the night of Watanagashi. Hey, Oyashiro. You call yourself a guardian, but you didn't protect Satoko. Cursing Satoko's family for the damn stuff is your own business, but now you've made Satoko unhappy when she didn't have anything to do with it. My lord Keiichi, hereby denounce you, the guardian deity of Hinamizawa, a failure. We don't need you! Go back to the deepest, darkest parts of your shrine this year. Besides, if you just cursed and killed both of her aunt and uncle last year, none of this would have ever happened. The curse is here. It's not on you. I'll be the one deciding. It won't be the three families controlling the serial deaths behind the scenes. No, not some vague people I can't tell if they're buffoons or not. This time I will be the one to deliver divine judgment. So don't get in my way. Just watch. Stay quiet and watch. I'll obliterate him. I'll wipe him off the face of earth. I will stomp out his very existence. Go away. Disappear. And die. I'll tear your heart apart just like you did at Satoko. I'll have your blood as payment. Oh my god.
Keiichi, are you alright?
Rena, Mion, and Rika were looking after me. Had I fallen to the floor?
You surprised us. You suddenly fell down. Were you having a nightmare? You were moaning.
Shut it. Quit speaking at me like that. My friends gave a start and backed away. What? Ren and the others. They exchanged glances, unsure what to say, and stood confused for a few moments.
Was that your voice, Keiichi?
Of course it was. Rena gulped firmly and opened her mouth.
For a second, Keiichi, your eyes were really scary.
My eyes? Probably just a trick of the light. Don't waste my time. I'm not mistaken. I've never seen those kind of eyes before. What are these guys talking about? They've all been too scared of me lately.
You are Maibara Keiichi, right?
What was Rena saying? Who else do I look like except Maibara Keiichi? The look I gave her seemed to speak eloquently to those irritated thoughts. She understood and quickly apologized.
I'm sorry. Don't worry about it.
Oh boy. Here we go. I hate this stupid squeaky chair. It was hard to read it. So we have to continue to read the tips. So, let's save and load. And I had to read Keishi's thoughts, so. Emergency. So we'll read the tips. June 18, 1983. Abuse issues regarding Hojo Satoko urgent. We propose that Hojo Satoko must be taken into immediate custody. Family situation. Life with adoptive father who recently returned to Hinamizawa has already turned disastrous. She is currently subject to unendurable physical and mental abuse from her father. 2. Child Consolation Center's response. A child probation officer was dispatched yesterday of the 17th from the Prefecture Welfare Office, but because of the 77 case change to continual coaching and cautionary action, unfortunately the Consolation Office head does not properly understand the situation. Status of the concerned child. Child already appears to be suffering from an outbreak from something close to neurosis or manic depression. If our unstable and pubescent mind is negatively stimulated by stress, it will put her development of a healthy body and mind at risk. This cannot be allowed to continue from a humane standpoint. Allegations made to the family court. We propose based on the items that Hojo Satoko should be immediately taken to protective custody. She should be secured temporarily under emergency allegations to the family court under Article 28. We request emergency coordination between the related agencies. Next one. D23 number 44. Fukujisho D23 number 44, 1977. Child name. Hojo Satoko. Residence Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone. Consolation circumstances. Telephone SOS from the child of child abuse. Abuse situation. Child claims she's being physically abused by her adopted father. Family structure. Mark abusers. Adopted father, real mother, older brother, child in question. Adopted father and real mother entered family registry in 19. Note, the child is the daughter of the mother's previous husband. Child Consolation Center's response. On the day of the child telephone's consolation, the center called the child's school and asked of her situation. On that day, the child welfare officer on duty visited the child's house and conducted an interview. The adopted father sincerely listened to the instruction and agreed to take the child raising workshop in the city from now on. As part of the suggested coaching, the center will continue to observe the situation. Other notes. As a result of numerous counseling sessions at the city's Education Consolation Office regarding the child, we learned there's a high possibility the cause of the child's excessive distrust toward her adopted father was a result of a lack of communication. The abuse she claimed hadn't actually taken place, as she made a false report to distance herself from her adopted father. Below was a note written by pencil by a person at duty at the time. The problem appeared to be more with the daughter. Chief Investigator F of the city's Education Consolation Office said that most of her stories of abuse were likely fabrications. They decided to shift the focus of their coaching to the child. Be cautious not to take everything the child says as truth. Alright, well that is done. And we're gonna stop here for tonight. Thanks for showing up. Good night. I gotta stop it now. And yeah,